Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome, everybody, to this week's 30-minute live on Data Lift. I'm here today with Anna Chubinidze. Hello and welcome, Anna.
Hello, thank you very much for getting me here.
Welcome again, Anna. So you're going to be with the Data Lift Summit in Berlin in June of this year. And we're here today to talk a bit about your career in data and artificial intelligence, and also to kind of look ahead to the event in June. I would like to start by asking data, artificial intelligence, data governance. When did you get into this? How did you get interested?
Yeah, hi Chris. Thanks once again for welcoming, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for attendees being here, and I hope today you will learn a little bit about some of the common happenings around AI governance and also my experience. So to go back to your question, basically I started getting engaged in AI governance field when I was studying on masters. So I have an academic background in political science, like international relations and economics, and I participated in a project with the United Nations where I've been researching regulations for artificial intelligence. What kind of regulations should we have in place? And that was some kind almost like 4 years ago, and it was at the time very new topic. Like almost no one was talking about or thinking about it. So just biggest organizations were concerned about the topics, and fast forward since that, the topic became very interesting and common around the countries and around the companies. And I also got very interested in the topic, and also did my master thesis for that. And I worked for consulting companies, big four companies, and now I have started my own consulting company as well. So this is very briefly, I've been also engaged with many organizations like standards organizations like IEEE for their standards work on artificial intelligence. Also like Springer, Nature's AI and Ethics Journal, we have launched it last year. AI, and I've been on the founding editorial board. So there has been a lot of going on. And also I even started my nonprofit organization, AI Governance International, and we have been organizing events as well for AI governance and AI for sustainable development goals. So yeah,
Let's
this is very briefly.
Okay, let's pick one of these topics and perhaps explore a little bit further. So I'm going to start from the back. You just mentioned AI governments and sustainable development goals. I think this is on the mind of everybody. Yeah, so talking about climate change, talking about more sustainability, also actually in the context of the COVID pandemic that we're just living through, that also kind of makes it clearer that we only have planet A. There is no planet B that we can go to. So how do what relevance do you see of data and artificial intelligence to humanity becoming more sustainable and reaching sustainable development goals?
Well, I mean, if there is any relevance for AI to anything, that's exactly sustainable development goals. That's what I would say, because so basically, sustainable development goals cover 17 dimensions that has been worked out by United Nations, and to be reached by 2030. So it's basically the whole sphere of human life, including the planet Earth, and it's all about what can we do to actually make the life on Earth the best for humans, for other creatures that are living on Earth, and for the planet in general. So basically, if we are talking about the benefits of artificial intelligence, that's exactly where it comes in, of technologies in general. So basically, we want the technologies to make our lives more comfortable, better, like easier, like more expanding, fulfilling, and so on and so on. And also, we are already working on technologies that can do best for the environment as well. We are seeing the applications that are being used for wildlife protection, or in agriculture, or for climate change. So basically, it's the whole lot of relevance out there. And that's where exactly where I started by United Nations. So that's why it got very interesting for me.
Okay, thank you for that. So before that, you actually mentioned some of the activities you've been conducting over the past years, and also the people that you've met. I know that you've been involved with AI Governance International, and actually our viewers can just see this at the moment. So, if you, from where you are today, if you look back over the past 2 to 3 years, what is it that you've learned? What do you see that is in governance of data and artificial intelligence is most important?
Um, so probably one key thing that could point to there is that the question I often get asked when I tell people or even my friends that I am engaged in this field, because I mean everyone knew that I was studying international relations and international economics and also international law, and everyone thought that I was following the social science and this kind of direction, like probably to become the ambassador or like diplomat or whatever. And when I told them that right now I'm focusing on artificial intelligence, everyone is kind of surprised. Oh, so you changed the field, you changed your profession. And I'm like, well, basically I did not. It's kind of extension. So I have added another very interesting extension to my profession. So basically what I would say is that um, right now we should not understand artificial intelligence as only technology field, because it is the field that already covers a lot of other studies, other fields, and other sciences that should be included in the exploration and in the development of artificial intelligence. So what I have learned also from my experience is that um, the companies that were not noticing this need so before, like 4 years ago or something, when I have started engaging in this field, they have started already in the last 1 or 2 years. Many companies have already started thinking about another dimension of artificial intelligence, the other dimension that is not technical only, that is not only machine learning development or deep learning or neural networks and so on. So we are seeing this incorporation of the whole lot of fields in the AI, and we are seeing, witnessing already a lot of people getting engaged in that, not only ML developers and computer scientists, but also people like me, and that's why I'm also being here.
Thank you, Anna. So indeed, what you've been speaking about is is kind of under enlarging our notion of artificial intelligence. Yes, it's technology, and yes, technology has impact. And then there's a wider way in which we need to think about how to govern it and how to regulate it. That brings in people, that brings in governments, that brings in businesses. We know that AI regulation is happening. So the European Commission for Europe has proposed some of this. We know that the Congress in the United States has been investigating some of the tech giants that we know, and is also pushing forward with regulation. So you're the CEO of Adalan AI. If you look ahead, the next 2 to 3 years, what is it that you think that businesses and regulators will be focusing on or actually need to focus on?
Okay, so yeah, so basically there are, I think, a few so there are probably few but very important questions, but maybe we could then divide in a subfields or whatever sub points. So the first thing that I see most important thing to be, and we have noticed already this importance also recognized, is that we are lacking. We need to focus more on practice and implementation of all the AI governance frameworks or AI ethical principles that most of the organizations or many organizations have worked out in the last couple of years. We are seeing very like companies, commercial companies, AI companies, focusing on that in a very least. So in a very least way, probably they are not trying to build a governance framework, include and implement risk assessment scenarios or impact assessment tools. So this is the thing where I think it is most important and that was why I have also initiated this the events that we actually co-organized with AI Guild last year with the nonprofit organization that was responsible AI from what to how to operationalize AI ethics principles. So I was pretty surprised actually that I have seen so many attendees to the event, and it was once again like kind of a proof that there is really much interest and much focus already on putting that to practice. So the second thing, in short, is that what I'm seeing also from my experience is that about the competence and skill sets. Like where I have been working with companies either like internally before or even now when I work with the clients, what I'm seeing is that usually companies really kind of avoid to get some additional external help or competence when they need it to. So when they work on a project, they try to solve the whole project with the team, whoever they have, whatever team they have right there, right in their place. And even if they need some additional help, like even if it is from the economic insights or philosophy insights or any like other any social science insights, they do not try to engage experts from the outside world. So this, I think, creates some kind of competence gap or skill sets gap for the companies to develop the AI in the best way possible. And that's why actually I try to address this problem with Adalan AI, and we together with the permanent employees, I'm trying to also have kind of pool of experts where with who I make kind of NDAs, and then we already invite them on demand basis. When we have a project and when we need their specific expertise in order to have the full skill sets and competence on place when we need it. So the third thing I think would be so this is probably a very broad topic, and I would just will just mention in very briefly. This is about probably mindset shift. So what I would call like that. So we should kind of focus on because these technologies are very already different, we should also kind of focus more to change our mindset, how we govern, how we regulate, and how we develop the technologies. The regulations that also I've been working on the project that I have mentioned before with the United Nations has been very interesting because we were exploring the possibility of foresight regulations to put in place instead of some kind of fixated and fixed rules and laws. What is other possibility for the regulation to have in place? Is there any kind of possibility to foresee what kind of risks the technologies might impose, or what kind of other flexibility we can give to regulations, because the regulations develop very, very slowly, while technologies develop very, very quickly, and they cannot really come together and cannot catch up. So this is exactly like a change of mindset where we really need to see when it comes to regulators and also the companies who develop artificial intelligence technologies. And also once again, and last point is also when we see when we already experience this kind of ineffective policies or ineffective approaches that we have already implemented, I think we should kind of already react very quickly to change these ineffective things and like already pull them out of practice. I'm seeing a lot of complaints, for example, for cookie policies when you have to accept all the cookie policies on the websites when you enter it. So I think this is already time, for example, for European Union regulators to think about how to resolve this issue when we already see it proves ineffective.
Interesting, Anna. It's something that I've noticed, also, so to speak, as a consumer of websites and also on the social media. So a lot of websites have basically become unusable. Yeah. So you go on them, and
Yeah.
then first you're battling with the cookie policy. Once you've sorted that cookie policy, some chatbot comes popping up in you and asks you to put something in. Then you click the chatbot away.
Yes.
Then you try to figure out, how do I now navigate the website and find the information? And by then you probably are ready to give up. Which is in the interest of nobody, actually. So, yes, I wanted to get back to you and ask one follow-up question. So, you said at the beginning that you moved into the governance of data and AI from a business and politics, international relations background. You, I'm sure, have also worked with people that are technologists, that are, say, data analysts or machine learners, and maybe you've worked with people that have business roles or product roles around AI. Do you have any intuition what kind of competences one actually needs as an individual to really have impact on the governance of data and AI?
Um, yeah, first of all, what I would say, and I often actually point that out, is that both of the side, like if we divide very simply, these people who are technical and people who are non-technical, like very simply, what I usually point out is that both of the sides need to really get good awareness of the other side. So if you're technical, you have to try to get better understanding of non-technical societal issues, be an avid reader, possibly read the policy papers, or get to know some ongoing discussions about it. And if you are then on a non-technical side, you should also try to, for example, take some online courses, data science online courses, like I did myself, learning Python from scratch, from nowhere. I did not have any background in that. So I think that this is one point, and another point is that the communication skills, I think, is very different, very very important for both of the sides. So if so, one side needs to be very good communicator. In order to be able to communicate the ideas to the other side. I myself have had honestly these difficulties when I've been working with, for example, like the people who do not have my background. Like I would assume that possibly, I mean, I did not notice, for example, that there is this big difference in terms of the mindset, how you think in terms of ideas or things. So I would, for example, just comment just one or two words or two sentences, so hoping that they would also understand what I mean, and then they would be like, I mean, what is that? What does it mean? And then I would have to like follow up with the whole page of explanation. Then it would be clearer. So sometimes, I mean, sometimes you really underappreciate or like do not really notice these differences between the academic education or the whole work. I mean, the whole set of your own mindset or your thought process, uh, different between technical people and also non-technical people. So you really need to understand what kind of information you need to communicate in details and what kind of information you need to communicate, like probably on a high level.
Okay,
I
thank you
mean,
for that.
that's it.
So you're going to be speaking at the Data Lift Summit in a few months. Actually, also speaking and in this sense delivering something, and it'll be interesting to then see what you communicate more general and communicate in more detail. I wanted to introduce the topic that you'll be speaking about, which our viewers can now see below. So the title, if I got it right, is AI Ethics in 3D: Ethics of Data, Algorithm, and Usage. So explain that 3D.
Yeah, so yeah, it was 3D, three dimensions, ethics of
Okay.
data,
Mm.
yeah, algorithms, and also practice or usage. So what I found interesting, so basically what we are witnessing, basically people are discussing mostly data that possibly includes bias, or like when we discuss garbage in, garbage out, about the data. If you have bad data, then you have bad outcomes. And also the ethics of algorithms. So what kind of machine learning setup you have to actually come up with a final outcome. And what we were not mostly also discussing was the ethics of practice or ethics of usage. I found this another third dimension very interesting. And like to be more clear about that, I usually then bring the example or the specific industry where it is possibly more obvious to look at. And I usually like to look at it from in a healthcare industry where um, for example, we have um, you have the medical device, like take radiology, for example, radiology device. And so it consists, so it was built with some specific data, big data. Then it has the algorithm and it works in some kind of way. But then you have a doctor, um, which is the user but not the end user. So if we look at the patient as end user, and doctor is the basically user of the machine, so doctor has to decide um, how much she or he should trust the machine, the algorithmic decision. So far algorithmic decisions are not final if it is used in the medical practices. So there is the interaction between the doctor and the machine, and there you have the question then, how do you trust the doctor to be able to assess the decision of the AI machine, AI radiology machine? And here you have these ethical questions: what kind of skills the doctor should have, how much what kind of trust level doctors should have in the machines, and how they should make decisions when it comes to using these machines. So I think this is a really good example, and also probably the self-driving cars are a good decision as well. We've been seeing some footages of people when driving Tesla and they were sleeping, like while they should have been driving, or just at least paying attention. So this would be also the ethics of usage or ethics of practice, the third dimension there, very important dimension. And yeah, I will be discussing this explanation, like what are um, high level um, ethical risks or scenarios, not only ethical, but I mean the regulatory or societal other risks when it comes to data, algorithm, and also the usage of AI technologies.
Thank you. So, three dimensions: data, algorithm, and usage. Do you have any idea where companies typically fail or fail the most?
Um, yeah, I think what I have also mentioned, probably it's where the companies underestimate the importance of engaging the people from other disciplines, or like really holding the real discussions about the possible risk scenarios or possible risks that is not necessarily related to technical robustness or technological like technological well-being of the AI algorithm itself. So you usually really need to look at what kind of features you are embedding in the algorithm, or what kind of outcomes you are asking from the algorithm. So you always need to have qualitative assessment of the technology itself, and that's where mostly companies fail. You need a qualitative thing. So there is very little attention to that.
So, understanding what they're doing and what is actually going to be the impact of this, and whether it does
Yeah,
what it's
exactly.
supposed to
Like
do.
together,
Okay.
together also with technological difficulties, like such as explainability or transparency, like this black box algorithm that we usually discuss. Yeah, there is this qualitative issue.
Okay, thank you for that, Anna. So this is something that I really look forward to. I can already, in my mind, kind of think about examples in which companies struggle with any of these. Yeah. So sometimes the
Yeah,
data is
there are
incomplete or
plenty of
biased.
examples.
Yeah, exactly. The data is incomplete or biased, or they were just overconfident in the way they were, whatever, scraping data off the internet. I can see precisely with the algorithms that the assessment often perhaps isn't done, and then the usage can be irresponsible, and you might need to educate your users, or there are limits to actually possibly how you can educate your users. And companies need to look at all of this, and regulators will be looking at all of this. And I can also precisely see how this usage topic is a struggle. So you were mentioning that if we have autonomous vehicles and or well, not fully autonomous, so there's still a steering wheel and there's still a driver. How much is the responsibility of the driver to be awake at all times and actually pay attention, right? And who's responsible if that's not the case? Okay, great. Um, any final thoughts on this topic, three-dimensional AI ethics?
Yeah, I think final what I really want to bring in also in the presentation is exactly those examples, and also I did some similar things, similar talk in also other conference, and what is interesting is to also engage the audience about some case studies or specific scenarios where things were going well and they did not actually go well, and what really happened, and some kind of thought-provoking questions, what audience really think that the things really went well. So I think these examples will be really interesting to look at, and not only theoretical descriptions.
Okay, then actually for today, thank you very much. Thank you for those that have been watching us. Thank you to those who have been watching us for staying with us. We do this every Wednesday, so it's again next Wednesday at the same time that you can join us for the next live session. Looking forward to the Data Lift Summit and introducing yet another interesting topic in the field.